Hello everyone, welcome back to another Charlton video. Today we do have a range of topics to discuss, such as the Norwich friendly that we played last night, as well as a couple of the transfers and things that have been going on, news stories that have been published around that by the news shopper and stuff, and Louis Mendes and Richard Cooley around that sort of stuff. But just before we begin, I want to extend my thanks once again to everyone who has supported the videos that we've been doing for the last few weeks, who's liked, subscribed, commented, even just watched. So thank you all very much for all of that love and support. And also, yeah, if you are new around here, make sure you subscribe. If you are enjoying the video, make sure you like it, and obviously comment down below during the video about anything that we discuss. So I just want to apologise a little bit at the beginning of this video. I don't apologise, I'm not really sure, because there's going to be a slightly more, I would say, maybe negative tone to this video, because there are a couple of things that have cropped up in the last week since the Jay Da Silva signing, which was obviously fantastic news. I don't think there's any particularly massive alarms, but there's a couple of little slightly more negative points that I want to talk about in this video. So just a little heads up on that. I'm sure most Charlton fans would agree. I'm still trying to be very optimistic, and I think there are reasons to be optimistic, but yeah, a couple of things have just made me go, oh, like just a couple of little things that have emerged. So let's start with the Norwich friendly. I listened to it last night, didn't go to the Valley. We lost 2-0 against, Championship club Norwich. I'm not sure how good of a Championship club they are anymore. I think they're probably around mid-table. Their fans would probably say they're pushing for promotion, a little bit like ours would. But yeah, it was a decent game apparently. We played okay. It seems that we seem to be struggling up front. The link-up play between Clark and between McGuinness was criticised. I think between them they don't quite have enough goals in them if they're going to be our sort of primary striking pair. Robinson likes to play a player behind the main striker, so if McGuinness is our number 9 and Clark's our number 10, little bit of worrying times in terms of how many goals we're going to score. But he made some comments essentially about the right back position and about the transfer sort of situation. So his comments were, for me, they were exactly what I didn't really want to see. So he said in regards to the right back that he was told, I don't know what this means, but he was told that we are not signing a right back. So he's the manager. Who's telling him that we don't need a right back? He's the one that should be standing there on the sidelines with his team, with Bowyer and with Jackson and whoever else, and going, he might not play as, he played a good game obviously yesterday, obviously Dijksteel or Dijksteel, however you say his name, but he even said in these comments he will have some bad games this season. Charlton can't afford to have any bad games this season. So if Robinson thinks that we still need to sign a right back, or we need a better right back, as Chris Solly obviously isn't overly reliable with his knees and with his fitness, then it should be Robinson's call. He shouldn't be going, to the boardroom after the game or whatever and being told that he is not going to be able to sign a right back. Now, while I'm saying that, I actually don't think that we do need to sign a right back particularly. I think Dijksteel obviously played well last night. Could have been a one-off, Naby Sarr had a brilliant couple of games when he first signed, and then I think he's a bit of a scapegoat, but he had a few poor games. You can't judge a player on one game, so that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I do think it's one of the least priority positions in terms of what we still need to sign. I think Barnes, Dijksteel, Solly, Da Silva, Page, even Regan Charles-Cook can all play pretty well in the fullback positions, so I'm not worried at the fact that we're actually not going to sign a right back. What I am worried about is the sort of tone that Robinson's using, and being told by whoever told him. It could have been Mayor, it could have been someone else, I don't know who it was, he didn't specify that he cannot sign a right back. So yeah, isn't he the manager? That's my main point on this. Now, with that being said, if it was a meeting between Jackson, Bowyer and Robinson, and they all came to this conclusion mutually, then it would be a lot more organic and it wouldn't be as alarming to me, because it would be like a genuine discussion is being had and there wasn't someone behind the scenes controlling Robinson, and it just seems like Robinson is potentially like a spokesperson for what's going on, and he doesn't actually have the final say in some of the transfer goings on. So there were 2 articles around this last night. There was a South London Press one, which is normally posted by Louis Mendes, and also there was a News Shopper one, which is obviously quite a well-renowned, long-lasting sort of tabloid that posts news on Charlton. So the title of Louis Mendes' article was "Charlton boss no longer in market for right back as Dutchman set to get a crack at first team berth." So that was obviously to do with Anfernee Dijksteel, actually, you spell it with an F, having a good game, which is, don't get me wrong, very good to see. I love to see our youth talent doing very well, and it's great that he had a good game against Norwich, and it's wonderful. He's 20 years old. I understand that we do have a policy on youth and we bring youth players through. We have done for years and years, but can I just take your attention to this particular part of the article where Robinson was quoted as saying, "I've just been told there will not be another one." So that obviously implies that he's been told by whoever in the background that he cannot sign a right back. You know, there's a limit. There could be that he's been given the choice of, you know, 2 or 3 positions to strengthen. That's what it sounds like. And he's going to have to sacrifice one position and go for another one, maybe try and sign someone versatile. I don't particularly know. But he's been told that there will not be another one. Now, if we switch over to the new Shopper article, it is conveyed slightly differently in the sense that this article says, I've just been told I don't need another one. So for me, I've just been told I don't need another one, and I've just been told we are not getting another one are 2 different things. One of them implies that we physically cannot, like the budget's not there, the backing's not there, and someone else in the background is making that decision. I've just been told we don't need another one is more like, you know, some advice has been given to him by his coaching staff, which is perfectly fine and organic and nice in a football club to have. So it depends. I think these were taken from the exact same interview, so the way they were reported was slightly different. So it depends which one was actually said for me to have like a solid reaction on this, because at the moment I'm not sure how to respond to this. But anyway, enough about that. So essentially we're not getting another right back. Dijksteel's going to come in potentially and play some games when Solly can't. Barnes is obviously there, who had a slightly poorer game last night, as the young players tend to do, and as Robinson admitted, which is not so good considering all of our fullbacks other than Solly are like below 21. It is what it is. We've got depth, but they're all young players that are prone to potentially having not such good games. So that is my one negative thing out the way. I do apologise. I assure you, I do promise I am quite optimistic about the season. Yeah, another week's passed and we haven't made any signings since De Silva. It seems as though every interview that progresses towards the end of the transfer window, I know there is quite a while left, but there's only like a week and a bit left before the start of the season, and ideally you want to have your players in before the start of the season. But there is a little while left, but we haven't signed as many players by this point as I would have hoped. Robinson said, again, like I spoke about in the last episode, that we needed 4 players before we lost to Jose Teixeira and Ceballos, and then he was interviewed again after we lost all of those 3 who were quite, you know, first team good players, and still said we need 4. Now it seems that now we don't need a right back, he's looking at 3, and then he's also talking about sort of struggling, you know, there were some blockades in the way, you know, we can't get certain deals done, to do with the keeper, to do with a winger, to do with a striker. I think we know the targets. I think if we do make the signings, it's going to be Motherboard on loan, it's going to be Stewart, and it's going to be either Martin or Jed Steer. You know, things can change, but at the moment, that's what we understand. Why we can't physically get these deals done, oh, and Ben Reeves, by the way, but why we can't actually physically get these deals done, I'm not sure. There's obviously some sort of financial stumbling block or personal terms or something going on there that is blocking these deals from being done. Now, that we can't ignore the good deals that have been done, you know, signing up Ricky Holmes on his longer term contract, getting Marshall, Clark through the door early on, but this actually happened last year. You know, we got a Jose through the door early on, we got Novak through the door early on, we got Holmes through the door early on, and then as the transfer window ticked on, it was like, okay, where are the rest of the signings? Come on, and they never really came, apart from like Declan Rudd on loan, and then nothing really else. But again, if that repeats itself this season, I'm not expecting us to achieve. I'm expecting us to maybe get to the top 10, top 12, but I wouldn't be expecting us to challenge for promotion with the squad that we've got. It's the most vital time, as I said in the last episode, right now, and we need those 3 or 4 players, because so many good things have been done already, and we would completely, well, we wouldn't ruin it, but it would be so risky, and it wouldn't make much sense for us to not continue and just add 2, 3, 4 players. I would say 4 actually, because I think that we need to bulk that squad out a little bit, but it would really cement us as promotion candidates, I think, if we did that. But yeah, essentially things have dried up more or less on the transfers, you know, so much so that I'm essentially repeating myself. I feel like I'm repeating myself every week in terms of the transfers. For whatever reason, we seem like we're in no particular rush to get them done, although I will say that supposedly Cameron Stewart is one that is kind of close, and we're going to make a decision in the next few days, apparently. I think we were supposed to make a decision on the 17th, so that is 9 days ago we were supposed to have that decision made, but it's taken longer for whatever reason, and that is still one that's materialising. Again, Reeves completely dried up in terms of, you know, any sort of updates on that. Mavropanos, you know, Arsenal tend not to let their players go until quite late on in the transfer window, so I'm not worried about that. What I am worried about is not having a first team striker who has a proven prolific record in the squad, because I just don't see where our goals are going to come from. I think we've got a lot, you know, 3, 4, 5 players that could easily chip in with like 10, you know, 12 goals. You know, Holmes, Marshall, Watt, McGuinness, maybe Clark, Fosu might get 2 or 3, but I can't see anyone who's going to get 20, 25, 30 goals a season unless one of those players steps up and has a really good season, which is risky to expect that from one of the players that hasn't proven that they can do that before. If Mavropanos is the guy that's been expected to do that, that is even more risky, because he hasn't played any really much professional football in his entire career. So again, these are the things that I was talking about that are just making me go, oh, like, what's going to happen here? Are we going to, you know, make that step to really like solidify ourselves as promotion candidates, or are we going to be like last season, a little bit short? And by the way, I do think we are stronger than last season even now, no matter what, but not quite enough to, I don't think we're taking ourselves from 13th to top 6. I think we're taking ourselves from like 13th to like 8th, 9th, 10th at the moment, in my opinion. Obviously, I would say a winger takes more priority now. You know, the fullbacks, we're not going to sign any more fullbacks, it looks like, and obviously we lost Mark Marshall to injury until at least October, so I already tweeted that I won't expect to see him till sort of Christmas time. That's so unfortunate. He's going to be like a new signing, as Robinson said, when he comes back, but we have lost him until October for now, which is a bit annoying. But if you do look at our squad, this is the final, I'm very sorry once again, final sort of more negative point that I want to make this video. It's just me worrying about the football team, and I don't want to see the same things happen again that have already happened for the last 2-3 years. So if you look at our injuries at the moment, we look at this squad, we've got 23 players here. They've since put Aaron Barnes up to a first team player, and you know, you have Regan Charles-Cook and Dijksteel who are not included on this list, so that's sort of 24-25, but at that point it's a lot of youth there. But we do have injuries to Marshall, Lennon and Page here, who are all considered sort of first team players, and then, you know, there are a couple of players there that won't be reliable all season. You got Tony Watt with his fitness, probably not with his desire anymore. I think he's kind of proven that he wants to be here, but you know, that's always a risk as well. You got Johnny Jackson with his fitness and his injuries. You know, he's a part-time player, so he can't really be considered, you know, a player that's going to get much first team action. He might come off the bench. You got Kashi, who's just come back from a major injury, which is always risky in your first season back from a major injury. You know, his fitness might be something, and you know, we might have to be a bit more delicate with him. And then Solly, who has proven that he can't necessarily play all the games in a season. So already that's 7 of 23 to 25 players that are gonna almost definitely provide some sort of doubt with injuries and fitness, and they won't be consistently available for Robinson to different extents between the players. But this just slightly does make me worry that we're not going to get any deals done. Like I said, in the interviews, Robinson keeps saying, you know, oh, I hope we can get this done. And every interview as it goes on and closer to the season, I've already kind of said this, it seems like he's going, oh yeah, we definitely need 4. Oh, we lose 3 players. Oh, we still need 3 or 4, and then it goes again, and oh, we don't need a fullback anymore. Oh, and we might get 1 or 2 done. It seems to be getting less and less with every interview, which concerns me a little bit. But with that all being said, I do have to say that apparently, I mean, I heard the game last night, I didn't see it. I watched a dodgy stream on Facebook as well, and we played okay for spells against a championship team, and it sounded like a lot of our players did play decently, you know, and I'm not concerned with how we're playing, the style of football we're playing and that kind of stuff. All I'm concerned about at the moment is the depth of our squad, and I just needed to get this off my chest and express that. So I hope you understand. I'm sure a lot of you would probably agree about some of these points that I've raised. And it is kind of showing signs of the regime's kind of mistakes again, but to a slightly lesser extent, because obviously we do have, I believe, a much stronger squad than we did last season in terms of how strong our backup players are if a player gets injured. I think all of our players have the desire, more or less. I think all of our players have the quality to be Charlton players, so that is very, very good. But, you know, let's see how we do against Ipswich. I might go to the Ipswich game at the weekend, and we'll see if the signings are made this week, I suppose. But hopefully we can get Stuart in. I really want Reeves in, and obviously a goalkeeper before the season starts. But that's it for this video. Make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed. Obviously comment down below your sort of take on these sort of happenings over the course of the last couple of weeks, and yeah, I'll make sure I reply to all of those. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and click here. I made a little video yesterday rebuilding Charlton on FIFA. It's called the Ultimate Rebuild, where we go through 2 seasons and we essentially make sure that Charlton are better than they are in real life now. So make sure you click on that if you are interested, and I'll see you later. Sweet.